8 p.m. My name's Lee. This is the Coombe Valley Campers Q&A, and I'm here to answer your questions regarding camper van conversions or Coombe Valley campers as a whole. Maybe the video we've just uploaded at 6 p.m. this evening, which is part 2 of the 2K T5. So yeah, looking forward to seeing who's on tonight, seeing who's about, and answering your questions. It's going to be a fantastic evening to be able to do that. Personally, I've literally just got back from the cinema about 15 minutes ago. It was the new Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania film. So absolutely love that. I promised my daughters we'd go out and go and see that. So in fact, it was only the eldest one that came with us this time. So yeah, we had a bit of a date night, me and my eldest daughter, which was good fun, and watched the new Ant-Man film, got some popcorn. Yeah, it was a really, really good time. So how is everybody? Have we got anybody in the chat? I see there's 3 people in so far. Mark has just said, good evening, Lee. Good evening, my man. How are you? Motivate says, hello, good evening. Nice to see you. We're going to get a couple of the old Team 333 in, which will be good. If you know what I'm talking about, make the quote of Team 333. Who else have we got? Right, we've got JJ Gristle. He says, hello, guys. Danny Sykes says, evening, Lee. James says, good evening, Lee. Mint Sauce says, Andy T5. Hello, good evening. Nice to see you. David Bailey. Are you going to be Andy T5 much longer by the looks of what you're selling on eBay, if it's the same Andy T5? David Bailey says, hi everyone. Roy Stewart says, good evening all. MGB311 says, good evening all. And Gavin Croker has given a thumbs up and a smiley as well. Nice to see everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Like I just said, literally just got back from the cinema. Fortunately, my wife had a bit of dinner on the table, so I've literally just thrown it down my neck so I can make it for the 8 o'clock live this evening. And we've got Silver Fox Bills. He says, hi all, Team 333. Mint Sauce says, not the same Andy T5. There we go. Sorry, my man. Yes, so have you got any questions? Right, put your hands up. Who has watched our latest video already on the 2K T5? It's a pretty grotesque one in terms of what we found and what we've cleaned. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think about that video? It was pretty disgusting, and it's actually only part 1 of the cleaning video. In fact, I probably could have made 4 videos on cleaning that vehicle because it was that disgusting. I still can't believe I own the damn thing, bearing in mind it's so filthy. Quite definitely the worst or the dirtiest T5 I've ever had the displeasure of working on, that's for sure, and I own it. So Mint Sauce has watched it. He's put his hand up so far. The King of the Gamers. Sorry, I read that as King of the Cameras. He says, hi everyone, good evening. Taxi driver Mad Mossy says, good evening all in Bath. Neil Robbins says, evening mate, watch the video, a dirty van. Definitely dirty. Kevin Froud says, hi Lee and all. MGB311, watch the last episode. I did exactly the same clean out today on my new to me T5. Excellent. Epic beginning video of a chapter, says Motivate. Yeah, do you know what? It was really, I like doing that whenever I get a new project, especially an older vehicle, to literally rip everything out. Because as I think I said in the video, I'm quite happy to live in my own dirt, as I'm sure you all are, but living in somebody else's dirt, that is not an option for me. And that thing is grim. So from the sign writing, we could tell it was a demolition company that owned the van, and it has got on the side like diamond drilling, construction, etc., etc. And when we did a little bit of research, we found out that the company is based in central London. So all of the groundwork that you've probably seen over the last 20 years in London, these people have had something to do with it. And it makes sense for the vehicle. It's classed as a T30, not a T32, but a T30. It's got a huge tow hitch on the back, I believe some uprated springs, and the floor is absolutely hammered. like in the back, you probably saw in the video as well, the floor in the back most panels is even dipped down, where I'm gonna reckon there was some real heavy machinery or real heavy tools in the back there. So nothing that scares us. But how clean was it on the inside? You know, we tore all of those panels out, and it's immaculate. And you wait till next week, because I hit it with a steam cleaner, the Karcher steam cleaner. I hit it with a steam cleaner, and it came up just beautifully. We're a little bit ahead of the video, so I have actually started driving that vehicle around. We had a mad little turbo issue with it, which we've solved, and I'll go into that on another video. But I'm just trying to work out the kinks on it, see what's right, see what's wrong with it, so we can get some further content for the video. And there's no point me spending loads of money on a build to not have a decent van. So I've probably put about 3 tanks of fuel through the vehicle so far. So yeah, like I say, we've cured this turbo issue which we had. Turns out it was just a MAF sensor with a broken wire. I've put some new seats in it, and yeah, just driven it and got to know the car, and it's not so bad, you know, for a vehicle with 214,000. It clicked over to 214,000 the other day. I did a big drive in it. I did like 150 miles. I went from where we are to Hayling Island to go and pick up some parts, and it performed faultlessly. You know, it's a great little car. So yeah, I really look forward to it. So yes, if you're watching, hands up if you've watched it and what you thought of it. Absolutely. Minsaw says, just bought a T5 and started the conversion adventure. Congratulations, my man. I look forward to seeing your updates. Davey Bailey says, enjoyed watching it. Roy Stewart says, I've been handed a few company vans to drive in that state. Yeah, rough, isn't it? The worst thing about this one is it smelt so damn bad. It was so smelly. I don't think it helped because it had a leaky windscreen, and we've solved that as well. That's coming up in another video. But obviously moisture had got into all the seats, the steering wheel and everything else, and it just turned it into a bit of a mess. So yeah, it's really not so bad now. James says, my T5 came from a Turkish bakery in London. It was full of seeds and flour. Mad. Yeah, I bet that was pretty hard to clean out. Our previous build that we did, if you are long-time watchers of the channel and you remember Project Lockdown, which was the white T4, that van used to belong to a farrier. And so when I tore that out, it was full of like horseshoe nails and all sorts of nastiness. But yeah, some peculiar things these vans have been used for, that's for sure. Danny Sykes says, thanks again for your time this evening, mate. Only one little query from me tonight. Do you know where I can get a replacement VW badge / sticker for the steering wheel? Do you know what? Genuinely, eBay is probably your best bet. If you measure the width or diameter, of your sticker in the center of the steering wheel, and you were to just tap that into Google or Amazon, I'm sure you'll find 100 sellers selling that same one. Yeah, a bunch of cars will probably use the same size sticker as the one in your car, and you can probably get it in a bunch of different colors as well. And it's just going to be a case of peeling the old one off, cleaning the surface very well with some sort of spirits or thinners, and then sticking your new one on again. So I hope that helps. Liam Keane says, my T5 came from a builder and it was minging. It took me and my girlfriend a whole weekend to clean it. Yeah, I believe you, man. I believe you. It was the seats and the headliner. And again, you wait until I tear out all of the cab next week. Ali's already finished the video. So there'll be a trailer this week for that. And yeah, I want to tell you everything I found with it, but I would spoil the surprise. But it was just terrible. But lots of things to do, but we've got some exciting things moving forward. Some exciting partners who have jumped on board with it as well. So that's really good. And also, who knew about A-Plan? Did anybody know about A-Plan before these videos? The modified van insurance? Yeah, they have jumped on board and started working with us. And if you quote Coombe Valley Campers, when you ring up for your next quote, you shall get an exclusive rate. Cameron Fair, I hope I've said that right. Cameron Fair says, question, I'm trying to resolve some odd leisure battery behaviour. Battery reads a high voltage, high 12s, but then fridge or diesel heater kicks on and voltage plummets, and then they can't run. How new's the battery, Cameron, and how well has it been charging? Is when the battery reads a high voltage, is that during charge or just when it's at idle, so to speak? Be interesting to hear a bit more information on that one, my man. But it does sound like the battery's cooked potentially. It might have a dead cell, or it's just past its sell-by date, something like that. JJ Gristle says, I bought T5 to paint, clean up and sell. Fell in love 2008. Fell in love 2008, 2.5 long wheelbase transporter, half converted. I want to install a ground power unit. Where are the best places to fit the plug to run my electrics? Is that the 240 volt plug? If it is the 240 volt plug, there's loads of different options now. There's lots of different options where to fit the plug. You can do just as you do with a regular motorhome, where you've just got a flap in the side and you can plug your shoreline. They're known as a shoreline socket. So if you're Googling for a 240 volt hookup plug, you can Google hookup plug or a 240 volt hookup plug or a shoreline socket. That's what you're looking for. And you can have just a hole in the side with the trim, and you lift the flap up. Transporter HQ now sell a couple of options. One is a really cool, if you've got a T5, for example, with a tailgate, the plastic trims below the tail lights, they've started selling a hinge kit now, so you can conceal a socket behind that point. There's a grill that you can pop out the VW badge like a petrol cap, and then you can plug in there. Lots of different options. I wouldn't say there's a best one. There are cheaper options and there are more expensive options. There are more attractive options. There's less attractive options. So yeah, lots of different ways you can do it. And that goes for any van, really. I hope that helps. Minsaw says, T5, any suggestions on a stiff gear shifter manual? Mine doesn't spring back to center when in neutral. It sounds like you might need to refurbish. Is it a high miler, mint source? Good evening, G, by the way. He says, evening, Chief. It sounds like your linkages or bushings might need restoring, replacing, greasing. If it's not flopping back into the middle, 9 times out of 10, maybe a piece of the plastic linkage is broken, maybe one of the springs near the cable ends has broken, because basically on a T5 your gear shifter's about here, and it's not like a rod that goes down to the gearbox like a T4 or a T25 or most modern cars. It's actually a series of cables that feed under the dash, and again you'll see that in the next video where I tear out all the dash and you can see the cables for the gear changer there. So the gear lever itself is housed in a set of bushings. Yeah, he's just come back 100,000 miles. Yeah, it might have just been a heavy-handed previous owner. So there's bushings and plastic sections and rubber sections and springs. Might be worth initially maybe just spraying a bit of grease around, see if you can free up a spring. But 9 times out of 10, that's probably a broken or worn-out part. JJ Gristle says, yes, 240 volt connection, cool. Cameron Fair says, thanks for answering. Battery is 2 years old. Idles at high voltage, runs low amperage items without trouble. Yeah, I reckon it's toast. Bring on the lithium. You don't always have to bring on the lithium. That is a good option, bearing in mind they're quite expensive unit, but they will probably outlast your ownership of that vehicle, for example. They've got a high life cycle. But yes, the battery you're talking about, if it's 2 years plus, maybe you've left it idle for 6 months, you haven't been constantly charging it or looking after it. And I'm not saying you're bad at looking after it. It's just people. Do you know what? After lockdown, our books on the work we had come in went through the roof, because obviously everybody had their van sat around for 2 years. When you've got leisure batteries sat around for 2 years, fridges and all this sort of stuff, if it sits around for too long without being charged, maintained, whatever, then yeah, things can wear out or die, or an element of it can die. So yeah, you've got to keep on top of these things. Might be worth putting the battery on if you've got somebody or know somebody who has one of these deep cycle chargers. That basically their job is to completely drain the battery down to zero, and then over a period of 2-3 days will recharge that battery up nice and slowly, and see if you can bring the battery back to life. So a deep cycle charger. Yeah. Chris Cross has come in. He says good evening. Good evening, Chris. Roy Stewart says, I've used A Plan for my work van and public liability insurance for years. They found me an excellent insurance deal for my first time conversion with a 2015 Transit Custom High Top. Nice one. Mince also has come back and says, thank you. We'll have a go with some grease. Motivate says, I'm about to purchase a power system and a crappy old car battery as a leisure battery just to start off with. I want to be able to plug up a solar input on occasion. Which Victron system is best? So a power system and a crappy car battery, and as a leisure battery just to start off with, I want to be able to plug up solar input on occasion. So I would go for a Victron in terms of solar, I'd say go with a Victron MPPT smart controller. I don't have the model name. I don't have that information in my brain. But the Victron Smart MPPT controller with Bluetooth connection means you can actually live monitor the battery input and output on your phone or tablet. It's a really good piece of kit. Going Victron means you've got good warranty and guarantee. And they're just great pieces of kit. I've never had anything go wrong with the Victron unit. Some of the cheaper items I've seen fail, but a Victron Smart MPPT controller with Bluetooth is a good way to go. Right. Next one. The King of the Gamers. Watched a lot of your how-to videos and they're so helpful. Converting my relay and was looking at Rusty Leigh's double swivel seat. Can I swivel the driver's seat as well as the double at the same time? Converting my relay. So Rusty Leigh don't do a swivel for the relay, but we do sell a swivel for the relay on our website. And if we don't have the single swivel for the relay on our website as we speak, it will be up very shortly. The demand for the singles has come up quite high. Generally, it's only the doubles on a bigger van such as the relays and things, but the single swivels are coming up in demand as well. Interesting thought about the deep cycle charger. I'll investigate. Good stuff, Cameron. Motivate. I think it's a smart alternator. Where are you going, smart alternator? Where was your previous question, dude? I can't see it. Sorry, I'm scrolling through at the minute, if anybody's wondering. Oh, here we go. So, the alternative is, if you've got a smart alternator, is going for a... Think of the name. Can't think of the name. It's on our website. You're looking for a DC to DC charger. Oh, C-Tech, which is Charlie Tango Echo Kilo, C-Tech. A C-Tech DC to DC charger that works with a smart alternator, and it has the provision to just plug in a solar as well. So that might be your best bet. In terms of Victron, you would look at a Victron DC to DC charger. Now, depending on budget, you can go for a Victron DC to DC charger and then a Victron MPPT controller. They will both plug into your battery. Alternatively, you can go for the C-Tech charger, which does both jobs at the same time. And they're very easy to wire up. Right, bear with us 1 second. I'm just going to close the door because it is bedtime for the girlies. And they've got another day off tomorrow. Oh no, it's there. They've gone. Yeah, another day off tomorrow. It was half term and apparently teacher training day. Who knew? Who knows? Maximus and Co. Good evening. He says, hello, all you happy campers. Hello, Leigh, and all the Coombe Valley Eds. Good evening, my man. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming aboard. Kevin Froud says, can you help my T2 windscreen bottle work by pressure? Hang on, can you help? My T2 windscreen bottle works by pressure, but when I put pressure in it, it comes out straight out the nozzle on the window without me doing anything. Any ideas? Yes, you've got a valve broken in there, my man. Because it shouldn't. Oh, do you know what's? It will be if you're still using the pressure bottle. It will be the valve or the windscreen washer switch on your dash, because they're very old school. They don't have an electric connection in. Basically, it's a in and out valve on a T2 pressure bottle system, and then you press the button on the dash or whatever it is, or on the washer, and it's where a hose literally comes in and a hose comes out. So the switch might be stuck, which means you're letting flow through all the time, or it's broken. So the bottle probably is still holding pressure, but the way it then comes out to the screen, there's a broken valve in there. So have a look at either your switch or the, sorry, do excuse me for 1 second. Oh, no, they're being sorted. Young girls, huh? Young girls. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, but I certainly can. Yes, so that's what might help. So your bottle is probably fine, like I said, but it's the valve that might be not working properly. MGB311 says, can you recommend what's best to fill screw holes in the floor van? Some of the holes are quite large. I was thinking of using an epoxy putty. Thanks. Lots of different methods. If your van is at a state that you could potentially take it to a welder fabricator and have all the holes welded up, that's probably your best bet. However, if you don't have that option, if the holes are quite large, an epoxy putty, and I'm sure could work, a polyurethane-based sealant with good adhesion, that worked really well. If the holes are more than just a pinhole in the floor, you could fit a rubber grommet. You know, you get these blanking rubber grommets for wiring holes and stuff like that. You could use one of those and then use the sealant with them as well. So you get a nice permanent waterproof seal all the way around. Motivate, VTech or CTech has the Bluetooth too. I can't quite remember. I haven't seen the latest of the CTech models. I can't quite remember if they have Bluetooth, my man. Yeah, G's on the same road as I am. At Kevin Froud, should be a switch on the stalk. Stick a 12-volt pump in there, much more reliable. Yeah, not a bad shout. Good evening or good night, my love. Have a good night, and thanks for the cinema. Yeah. All right, have a good night's sleep. Mint Sauce says, is there any benefit / need to sound deaden insulate on the cab of a T5 while the rubber matting and seats out for a deep clean? 100% yes. Not this video coming up, but in a couple of videos time, I sound deaden the floor of the T5, and that is 100% a really, really good thing to do. Think of it as putting just a nice blanket over your floor. Any form of, I've said forever, any form of sound deadening and insulation you can do over and above what the factory gave you is always going to be an improvement. I normally put, and I do this on all my vans, is 100% cover, 100% coverage on the cab floor of sound deadening, at least, because that's where your noise is coming from. And I've explained this in a previous video. You have 3-4 sources of sound in your vehicle. You've got road noise, you've got mechanical noise, engine noise, and the reverberation of the panels. And having another sound deadening layer, for the most part, deadens those, or at least isolates those vibrations, and it stops panel warpage, panel reverberation. So if the floor's out and it's super clean, absolutely get yourself a pack of sound deadening, a small pack of 20 sheets, so just do the cab floor. However, if you're shopping for a bundle, go for the cab upgrade, because that will do your doors, your cab ceiling, your cab floor. Yeah, it's 100% worth doing. Right. Liam Keane has come in and he says, can you or anyone help with an issue I have that nobody can figure out? Whenever my T5 gets up to temperature, 90 on the dial, if I turn it off, it won't start until the dial goes below 90. I mean, I'm sure you've had good and qualified people looking into it. Have you plugged it into a code reader as yet? Because they're normally very good at pinpointing faults. Again, when I had the fault with the turbo on the 2K T5, found out it was a MAF sensor. We just had, or at least a turbo boost sensor, and we had to find out which one it is because there's like 4 on a T5. It looks like that'll be some sort of temperature sensor, maybe a fault with the ECU. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to quote anything. I am not a mechanic, and I've been very careful in what I've said on my videos. I am not a qualified mechanic. I'm a guy who builds camper vans, converts vans. I've got years and years of experience in doing so. I've converted hundreds and hundreds of vans, and this is what this is for. With regards to mechanics, I would keep looking around. Maybe you know somebody in a local VW club or a friend who might have a good code reader, and we're talking about a good code reader, to try and pinpoint the source. Even if it does cost you 60 quid to take it to a garage to plug it in, definitely worth it. Next one. Roy Stewart, he says, Victron Smart Mains Charger. What's the difference between the 15 amp and 30 amp and 50 amp in terms of benefit? I'm going to be completely 100% honest. Hey dog, my dog's just come in to say hello. I'm going to be completely honest and say I have not used a Victron Smart Mains Charger before. I have used a Renogy, but in terms of the Victron Smart Mains Charger, I have not used them before. I would say the difference in the amperage on the Smart Mains Charger, if there's not a difference in capabilities of the charger, because sometimes they will add extra capabilities if they're a higher amperage, but it will be down to the batteries you're charging and the load that is required on the batteries once they are charged. And it's much like, say, a police car would have an uprated alternator fitted or a higher amperage alternator fitted to deal with the extra demand of extra lights and sirens and radios and communications and things like that. So having a higher amperage mains charger will be able to deal with a higher load that's put on it post-charging. So it'll be able to charge a higher bank of batteries. Now, don't forget, Victron stuff and battery charging items, etc., aren't just used for camper vans. They're used for emergency vehicles, TV trucks, all sorts of things. People with more demand than just one leisure battery that's going to supply you with charging your phone or doing the lights or the heater of the fridge. There's lots of reasons why battery to battery chargers or mains to battery chargers exist. But I would say the increase of amperage will be because there's a higher demand on the items and the utilities within the vehicle. Kevin Froud says, GW, thanks. I was thinking of doing a 12-volt pump. Thank you, you two. Not a problem at all. Yes, unless you're a hardcore, I want to have everything in my van standard. Yes, there are very good value kits available to just replace your pressurized water pump for the windscreens with an electric motor. And as G says, yeah, they're far more reliable and easier to replace the bits on as well. Do you have a list of products to use and where to deaden and insulate a van? There are just so many products. James, if you have a look on our website, we have done all the work for you. We have bundles for small, medium, large, and classic vans. And then we also have about 4 videos on our YouTube channel to be able to help you show where to fit them and how to fit them and the best order in which to do so. All right, so if you have a look over on our website, we've got blogs, we've got articles, we've got how-to videos, we've got podcasts, and we've got product bundles all ready to help you pick the right stuff for your camper van. Danny Colson says, hey man, love your videos, so informative. I'm doing up an 83 T25. I can't get the factory sliding window back in opposite the sliding door. It's like the new rubber is too thick in the middle. Could be. Is it a factory sliding window? We need to see pictures, because if it is the factory sliding window, and a factory window means it's recessed within the window rather than just being cut in. I tell you what, I'll be able to give you a proper answer if I can see a picture, Dan. It depends where you got your rubbers from. I know Heritage Parts Centre do a very, very good set of rubbers. But if it's a type of sliding window that is cut into a panel van, you may find you have the wrong window rubbers. I've got a whole video on how to replace window rubbers in your camper van. It's one of the earliest videos we did, and it is how to fit H-pattern rubbers in your van. Roy Stewart says, thanks, pal, not a problem at all. JJ Gristle, my T5 has a nasty thing of smoking diesel out the exhaust after third gear. It's as clean as a whistle, idles in traffic or stop at the shop for a few minutes and it does the same thing. Runs fine, 200k. As you may have seen, in terms of diesel bits and pieces or mechanics, I'm not the best man to ask, and I will put my hand up straight away. I deal more so with older vehicles. The T5 is a new thing for me, although we deal with them every day and we can cover most things. In terms of diagnosing mechanical problems on any car, I am not the best person to ask. But if you were to, JJ, if you were to send me an email with your diagnosis, I will certainly be able to ask better people, more experienced, better trained people than I am, and I'll get you the answer. Dan Colson says yes. What was your previous question, Dan? Can you get a rubber that's thinner in the middle? Oh, yes, sorry. He says yes. It's from Heritage. Yes, it's an original sliding factory window, I think. It has the number plate etched on. Doesn't necessarily mean it's factory. Camper conversions, etc., etc. Coming from a well... Send me some pictures. Factory made or camper vans made... Oh my gosh. Hey.
Someone knocked the door.
I don't know. I didn't hear the door. Gosh. Concerto of two dogs in the background now. There's a chance it is... Okay, let me just get this straight. If it has your number plates etched into the glass, it's not going to be factory. Or the etching isn't going to be factory. Bearing in mind, your vehicle left the factory without a registration. The windows would have been etched after the vehicle was registered or made, made into a camper van. So, yes, I need some pictures, Dan. Send me some pictures to info@coomvalleycampers.co.uk and I'll try my best to help you out, my man, all right? Maximus and Coast is going to have to shoot early tonight. Have a good evening. Catch up soon. Thank you very much for coming in, my man. It's very, very good to see you. Alex Renouf has gone, dog. Yes. JJ has just said, my dog has just had over back. Sean Jacobs says, dogs, some advice for us as well. G said, Marty just perked up. Evening, Ron. Yeah, so we've got my Ronnie there. Whoops. Ronnie. There's my Ronnie. And there's my mother's dog. That is Bronte. Bronte. There she is. She's an old girl. She's a 14-year-old Patterdale Terrier. What dogs have you got? Have you got any dogs joining you this evening? What have you got and what are their names? There we go. There's a little bit of a both ways. Ronnie is my Bulgarian mutt. We don't know quite what you are, do we, pal? But he's certainly some sort of scent hound or a Bulgarian Barak, I think they're called. Yeah, have you got a dog or a pet joining you this evening? And what's their names? Right. James, when bonding windows in the T5, do you use rubber trim or do you tuck in the carpet? Depends, James. Depends on the finish. Depends if the vehicle's having maybe some van shades. If I am doing a van that has had windows fitted before us, I have a chat with the customer and say, do you want the rubber trims on or do you want me to tuck over the carpet? You can do both ways, all right? So I personally think it looks neater with the carpet just tucked around the frame. Some people will argue that if condensation, the reason the rubber trim's on there is because if condensation runs down the window, it'll touch the rubber before it will touch the carpet and then the carpet soaks it in. However, the carpet is mostly, if not 100% of plastic anyway, so it shouldn't really soak up. Okay? Right, Dan Colson will do, man. Alex says, what gloves were you wearing in your latest T5 vid? Gosh, I don't know. Were they the fingerless gloves or were they the black gloves? I can't quite remember. We filmed it a little while back. And although I've watched it about 8 times, trying to get everything right with Ali, our editor, I wouldn't be able to tell you. So were they the fingerless ones or were they just black ones? James says, we have Ronnie, the Springer Spaniel. Ronnie. Sean Jacobs says Daisy the Dachshund and Cherry the Chihuahua. Awesome. Mint Sauce says Alfie and Ronnie, 14-year-old Border Collies. Lovely. I love a Border Collie. I grew up with Border Collies. Roy Stewart says Jock, the 10-year-old Westie. Of course you've called your Westie Jock. Motivate says, I have a 23-year-old rescue python. Mad. Her name is Jin from Tekken Devil Jin. Awesome. I love that. Sean Jacobs, it's squeezing your camp. Is it a squeeze in the camp with the dogs? Yes and no. So we did 2.5 weeks round, nearly 3 weeks round Europe last summer. I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, that 35-kilo mutt there, myself and my wife, in a Type 25 with a standard type interior. He's great traveling. He's always traveled. Bearing in mind he came on a van from Bulgaria and he was on transport for 3 days. He has absolutely no problems with travel. It's just taking him out often, you know. We stop every couple of hours on the road, and we do miles as well. We did 2,500 miles on our last road trip, so it's always taking him out for a wee. In terms of a squeeze, we have a huge pop top on the van now, which is perfect. So he sleeps on the floor or on the bed downstairs, and he has no problem with it. So yes and no, it can be a squeeze, but you just got to manage it right. JJ says 3-year-old Ruby Cavalier Spaniel 3-year-old Ruby Cavalier Spaniel kaput after beach run, woke up to bark back at yours and then went back to sleep again. You've set them all off, Ron. You set them all off. Yeah, he's been out on a run down the beach today, and then whilst I was at the cinema with the kids or my eldest, he went out for another walk as well. So he should be pooped actually. Alex Renouf, grey work gloves. Which ones? I'll have to check. Most of my work gloves just come directly from our Motor Factors. So we have a Motor Factors just down the road. I can call them and go, look, I need 40 pairs of work gloves for myself and the guys, or I need some, you know, the blue nitrile gloves for me and the guys. Send us some packs, and they're normally unbranded, but they have grippy sides on the front and the cloth on the back, and they're elasticated. However, I will try and find a brand for you. Gia said, Marty, the Wish French Bulldog. He's wonderful. Don't call him the Wish French Bulldog. He's a stunner. We love him. James, thanks. Does the carpet have to be tucked in before fitting the windows, or can it be done after? Most conversion companies, or in fact, I won't say most, a lot of conversion companies, what they do, say if you had a brand new T5, T6 and you took it to a conversion company, they'd cut all the big holes out first. So they'd cut the roof out, the windows out, then they'd carpet, make sure all the edges are nice around the edge, and then they'd stick out a window. But you can do it in both ways, and I explain that in a carpeting video. Sean Jacobs says, nice one. Where in Europe did you go? So, our destination, first of all, was Switzerland. So we drove like a day and a half through France to get to Switzerland. Switzerland we stayed in for a few days. That was stunning. Then we went to Austria, to the Tyrol Valley. We then passed through Czech Republic to Poland, where my wife's family is. Spent a week or so in Poland, and then drove all the way back across. We cannonballed across Germany. I think we did Poland to Dortmund in a day. It was like 15 hours, but we wanted to get as much done on day one so we could get our train early back on the next day. So yeah, then Germany, Belgium, Holland, France. Holland, Belgium, France. It's an amazing trip, but we do a lot of Europe. Obviously, we go to see our family over in Poland every year, so we tuck in like a European trip. And funny enough, we were discussing today where we'd like to go this summer. And I'm favouring more Germany. My wife's favouring more of Eastern Europe, but yeah. Liam says, cool, thanks. It's been plugged in at 2 garages, temp sensor changed and ECU checked over. Weird thing is, when you disconnect the temp sensor, it starts straight away. Everybody's stumped. Yeah, man. Again, I don't know. I'd love to be able to. We have a diesel specialist down our way. He's called Diesel Bruce. If I am chatting with my friends who know Diesel Bruce, I'll ask him and see what he thinks. Sean Jacobs, were you off-grid or did you use Eurocamps? No, we don't use Eurocamps generally. What my wife's very good at doing the research. So she'll pick campsites that are near walking trails, that are friendly with dogs, that are friendly with older vans, that are near lots of utilities, and have got good reviews. So she's got quite a high standard. They've got to have good toilets and good showers. That's a definite. Hookup available, etc., and somewhere for the kids to play. So we don't stay in Euro camps generally. We just pick out a rough route, see where the campsites are, where we want to go to, and yeah. I'm trying to think if we've posted details of our latest trip, but we can do. We still haven't really made a video. We didn't do a lot of filming on our Euro trip because we wanted to do. We wanted to do more holiday than filming as a commitment because we've worked solidly all last year. We wanted just 2.5 weeks away, but we did film some bits. But Switzerland was amazing, and we did the Oberalpen Pass in Switzerland. So we did the big mountain road that goes all the way over Switzerland and into Austria. Stunning, 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 stunning. Dan Colson, we have 9 rescue dogs ranging in size from a sleeve Pekingese to a Carpathian Shepherd. Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. Don't become a foster for rescue charities. Haha, you fall in love too quickly, I bet. It's my aim, actually, is to rescue animals. Some of you may or may not know, and I don't advertise this a lot, I'm a huge animal lover. As such, I'm a vegan. I have my logo there incorporated into my CVC, and rescuing animals is what I want to do moving forward. So, yeah. Motivate says, yeah, visit Germany. I'm in Hamburg, a really cool city. I know Hamburg. I visited Hamburg, a stunning place. Lots of awesome, awesome places in Germany for sure. I spent 4.5 years there in the military. I lived in Herford and Hona. Right, JJ says, on a T5 Transporter long wheelbase, while converting it to a camper, is a pop-up roof conversion worth the investment? It was certainly. It depends what you're making the camper van for. Are you making it for you and your family, or are you making it to resell? For both reasons, a pop top conversion is an excellent investment in my opinion. But do your research, get it done by the right place, read the reviews, etc. Choose the right roof for you initially, but reselling a van, there's some big ticket items in particular. Going for a good roof and going for a good safe bed. They're the 2 big ticket items. Interiors can be replaced, wiring can be replaced, but your big ticket items are the roof and the seat. So there you go. I hope that's cool. My gosh, that is 42 minutes down already. And 32 of you still tuned in. Yay, that's awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. That's awesome. Really, really good. You've made my evening. Bed suggestions, says JJ. As safe as you can within your budget. A very, very good option, and one that's quite close to my heart. Just because we work with each other a lot, and we have done for the last 5 or 6 years, is the Rusty Leigh beds. They're TÜV tested. TÜV or TUV is the German European standard for safety. And if you can get onto Rusty Leigh's YouTube or his Instagram or his Facebook and look for their video of them actually testing one of these beds in a vehicle, it blows your mind, because the floor doesn't fail. The bed doesn't fail. The floor and the bed and the mounting plate is so strong. The first part of the vehicle it actually buckled was the pillars in the tailgate, and the video is remarkable. And even everybody there around them is shocked because just it buckles because they test it in a VW T5 shell. Rusty Leigh bought a whole T5 shell, bolted his bed to it and his seats and everything else that he sells, so everything can have a TUV cert. There we go. Alex says TUV accredited IEC, EE, UKCA and CET regulatory test house. Yes. So Rusty Leigh bought a T5 shell in good condition, mounted his seat, and then they did the TUV test. and on a T5, if you can imagine a T5, the vehicle frame bent just above the rear lights. Incredible video. I'll stop going on about it, but yes, great value, great beds. They operate brilliantly. They're really, really good. Gavin Croker says, I was in Paderborn. Yes, I visited Paderborn quite a bit. A lot of exercises down at Paderborn. Sean Jacobs says, good chat. Thank you very much, my man. Where are you located in the UK? We are located in between Brighton and Tunbridge Wells in the southeast. If you know Eastbourne, right on the south coast, we are probably about 11 miles north of Eastbourne. Roy Stewart says, do you have a suggestion for best seat/beds without the need for seat belts based on a budget concern? If you don't have a need for seat belts, etc., you could go with anything in the back. You could put a milk crate in the back, in all honesty. However, if you do want a bed system in your van, I mean, if you're building the van just for you and your significant other and your dog or whatever it may be, just to travel in, awesome. Put whatever you like in there. You can put U-shaped beds in there, fold-out beds, flip-down beds, all sorts of things. However, if you're building a van that you're going to travel in, potentially carry people in the back in safely, and then resell, at least an M1 tested certified bed is your minimum. And then a TÜV tested is the gold standard, in my opinion. And again, I've fitted all manner of beds over the years. A TÜV tested one is worth every single penny. And really, they really are not that expensive. In fact, your upholstery might be as much as the Rusty Leigh bed. And they're excellent, excellent. We've fitted more than one on video. We fitted one to Dan's. We fitted one to a video. And they do them for all sorts of vehicles too. MGB311 says, a lot of Dodo Mat's newer insulation products now include some sound deadening. Can you get away with just the Dodo Thermo Pro 5mm SE without the hex mat underneath? Of course you can. You can put whatever you want on your van. We show you the advised and proven formula for a quiet, warm vehicle, and that is the hex mat, then the 5mm SE, and then the 50mm, or if you double it up, it makes 100mm thermo fleece. You can put as little or as much as you want on the van. Anything over and above factory is going to keep you warmer and quieter. So there we go. Mintsaw says, your videos and live Q&As are awesome and have inspired us to take the leap into our conversion. Thank you very much, my man. We bought it just after you announced the 2KT5 series, so following every step. Good stuff. That is awesome. And that's why we do it. A lot of people do actually get really confused as to why I do this every hour or every evening on a Sunday, get confused as to why I give away all my best advice for free on YouTube. It's not a cost-effective way of running a business in any way, shape or form. However, I don't give a shit, because there's no college, there's no training, there's no, you know what I mean? It's experience and passion that will get you in and, you know, just doing this job. And not everybody's got the budget to pay for somebody like us to build their van. So when I built my first camper van, I looked at books and I looked at forums. I'm just doing the same thing in another format now, which is YouTube. It's a great accessible platform. It's free. You can do what you want with it, and they're evergreen. You know, if I was to make a book, print it and sell it, brilliant. It'll end up on a shelf, but it's on YouTube. The content is evergreen. You can refer back to it when you want, whenever you want, as soon as you want, because it's on your phone. And having feedback like that from somebody like you who I've never met, it's worth all the heartache, the passion, the time, everything that goes into making these videos. You know, I'm not in it for money. I'm trying to put it that way. I'm in it to help you, and your feedback and the fact that you've watched our videos and have now built your camper van is worth more than money to me any time of day. And when we do our events like Cameras and Coffee, you know, I have 100 people such as you, such as yourself, coming up and saying thank you. Without your help, the videos wouldn't have existed. And that is just, it's music to my ears, makes everything worth it every time. So congratulations, get out there, get and build your van. I mean, the 2KT5 is going to be a really good step-by-step for a T5, but it could apply to any vehicle. But do have a look at all of the other videos, and yeah, go and have a look at all of the videos, because there's pretty much every answer. There's pretty much an answer to every question you may have. And if there isn't, then we're here for you on the Sunday too. Chris Croft says, had a productive weekend fitting my Autoterm heater I ordered from yourselves. Well happy with it. Glad I spent the extra for the comfort control. Do you know what? It is worth the extra money. You get a digital readout, there's a clock in there, and you can just twiddle the dial, see your readings. They're brilliant, those comfort controllers. Way more settings than you could ever want, I think. Where are we? Motivate says, what you are doing shows true transparency and honesty, and you have my absolute respect, and I can trust your opinion, and you're a good man. Well, thank you very much, my man. That is Goggy, I believe, isn't it? Motivate, Goggy. Thank you again. Having you just say that is wonderful. It's why we do it. You know, I can give my best to you. You can go out there and get out traveling, get out seeing the world for cheaper. Alex says, I got Wi-Fi extenders just so I could watch your videos while working on the van in the driveway. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Well done. Chris says, your videos help massively with my build, just saved me loads of headache trying to research everything. And that's what we're here for. That's why we've done podcasts, YouTube, there's blogs and articles and all sorts of stuff on the website too, so go and have a look at that. JJ says, just had a look at rusty seats. On a tested versus non-tested is double the pounds. There are structural differences, however, on a budget like everyone. Is the non-tested unsafe for passengers? No. It's not untested, there's M1 tested and untested. The seat belted seat is still safe, but it's not an unsafe seat. Is that what, sorry, I'm trying to think what I just said then. Yes, it's an untested, but I believe, if I remember right, they still have the M1 classification on them. They're just not TÜV tested. And it's the TÜV testing and having that certification and upkeeping that certification, because I believe you have to have a retest every so often. It's worth the money for a tested one, but if you are on a budget, then absolutely the Rusty Leigh beds are still cracking. And you could probably make it even safer by buying the platform, the mounting platform that sits underneath the van as well, because that is a pivotal part of the actual crash testing system. G says, do your diesel heaters work during driving time too for those that don't have adequate engine heating? Yes, they do. You have to get a certain fitting to be able to do so, and it's because if you're driving and the diesel intake gets too much oxygen, so if you're driving at 30, 40 miles an hour and you're almost ramming air up the intake to feed the diesel heater burner, you're going to mess with the fuel burning ratios. So I believe there is either a baffle or a shield that enables you to run a diesel heater whilst on the move. I've got a Beetle project coming up, and I'd love to see if I can put a diesel heater in there. So maybe we'll work on that moving forward. Liam says, cheers dude, appreciate it. Dan Colson says, I got my T25 back in summer last year. Got it running, engine is solid. Your videos are helping to keep classics on the road and usable. Can't believe I found your video at T25 vid straight away, legend. Thank you, Dan, and well done for keeping your van on the road. Again, it was through forums like the Brickyard. Is it Brickyard? No, Club 8090 that helped me convert my first van into a camper van. And I did a thread, actually. If you look hard enough for Hixie on Club 8090, you can see the entire first build conversion of Bully, because I documented everything. G says, awesome, we need to talk on that front, planning many changes for the bay. You're keeping the bay? Because I'm sure I saw a for sale ad for it before. I'm so glad you're keeping the bay, G. And yes, I'll get back to you about dates, my man, for sure. Awesome. 54 minutes, people. We're still 25 of you watching and 19 thumbs up. Thank you so much. Now, if you have, this is a bit of housekeeping. If you've enjoyed the videos today, or if you've enjoyed the videos on our YouTube channel, or you've got an answer today, please, it will help me out, help the channel out. If you can see the thumbs up symbol and you can give this video a thumbs up, please go and give it a thumbs up now. It really, really helps with us. And if you're not a subscriber for the channel, then please, again, do us a favor and be a subscriber of the channel. See, I'm uncomfortable asking now. And also, if there's the option, if you've got the option, tick the little bell, click the little bell next to the subscribe button on our channel. That means you will get notifications every time one of our videos goes live. They go live every Sunday at 6 p.m. anyway, but if we upload a short or a video in the midweek or something like that, you'll get notifications. So hitting subscribe, hitting the little bell, hitting a thumbs up to a video always works. There's 29 of you online so far. I would love to see our little like count go up a little further whilst we have the last 5 minutes of this session. Thank you very much, everybody. So G says, yeah, she's staying. Picked up some twin Cadrans and a top end kit too. Oh, you going bigger. So what are you doing? 1641? 1776? I can't wait. I can't wait to see that completely. So G, if you don't know G, he is our, gosh, what's your Instagram name now? My brain's a mush, G. Pinstriping. He does pinstriping. What's your pinstriping handle on Instagram, G? So he does pinstriping. He's done artwork for us. He did the Stranger Things sign writing on Bully, which is absolutely epic and awesome. And both him and Em do a lot of our work on event day for Campers and Coffee. Gasworks Pinstriping, there he is. So look for Gasworks Pinstriping on Instagram. He's a very, very clever, talented man. And it's G and M that help out with Campers and Coffee when we have those events too, which is awesome. So if you see someone taking photos, that's probably Graham. If you see somebody parking or just looking after you all, that is M as well. So yes, once again, thank you to you two. And there we are. We're nearly there. We've got 3.5 minutes. Has anybody get anything they'd like to get off their chest before we finish the evening up today? Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask before we disappear for yet another Sunday? Roy Stewart's come in. He says, thanks again, Leigh. Your videos and chat are absolutely priceless to us newbies. You're one of the good guys. Well, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that. And I just want to say, what's the phrase? Do not accept imitations. There are people out there trying to copy our name, and is it don't accept imitations? Somebody put the phrase down in the comments as well. There's people trying to mimic and copy and all that sort of stuff, which we find absolutely hilarious. Do not accept any imitations. That's what I'm going to say. Where are we? JJ says, my T5 has transporter on V5, but it's a camper now. Do I need to change this with DVLA or somewhere? You can, but you have a very hard time doing it. Go and check out our video, 2019 DVLA changes. You are very much unlikely to be able to change your van into camper van status, sadly. Sorry about that. And there's lots and lots of reasons why, but we do go over it in a video we filmed back in October 2019 when the DVLA actually flipped all the rules and regulations on their head. Yes, so last 2 minutes. Anybody got anything to say? Anybody got any questions to ask? A quick hands up. Who has watched the video this evening that we put up at 6 o'clock? Who has watched that video? It was really, really good. What's JJ just said? Do I need to? If not, all good. You don't necessarily need to change it to camper van. If you were to send it off to the DVLA, they would say your van is now classed as a van with windows. Again, it's all in the video. You don't necessarily need to. I give my opinions why, but if you were to do lots of research, 99% of people can't get it changed anyway, which is a huge shame. But yeah, not necessarily. You don't need to necessarily change it at all. So yes. Right, James says he's going to watch the video as soon as you're finished. Thank you very much. JJ says, thanks for the effort tonight. I didn't watch it, sorry. JJ, get on it, man. Get on it. It's only 20 odd minutes long. I'd love to see you watch it. I'd love to see your feedback. I'm just about to head off this evening. Thank you so much. It's been a very, very busy day. Thank you for supporting. Accept no imitations. There we go. Accept no imitations. Thank you, Alex. Accept no imitations. Yes, there's lots of people trying to imitate. It doesn't work. Again, we find it hilarious. Accept no imitations. G says, yeah, watch the cleanup. That looked worse than my barn find inside. Yeah, it was pretty rough. Brilliant, guys. James says, thanks for the great advice, Leigh. See you next Sunday. See you next Sunday, everybody. Thank you once again for tuning in. Before you leave tonight, if you find the little thumbs up symbol and you can give us a thumbs up, I would very much appreciate that. And we shall see you next Sunday, 8 p.m. And the final episode of Dan's Van is going to be next Sunday. We catch up with Dan. We learn where he's been, what he's been up to, how he enjoys the van, and if he's got any plans moving forward. We'll catch you later. Good night.
That seemed to happen.